The Maine Outdoor Film Festival is presenting something special on Tuesday night at One Longfellow Square in Portland. It's a series of short films, 5 in all, and then a panel discussion afterwards. And the focus is on something that is essential to all of our lives: water. With us here on 207 are two of the people who are taking part in the panel discussion. Miku Paul from the Wolastoqey Nation, also known as the Maliseets to many people, is here with us, and so is Betsy Cook from the Trust for Public Land. They're both involved in this evening, both involved in the films that are being shown. Thanks so much for coming in. We appreciate you being here.
Aquano.
What was the idea? What was it that you wanted to talk about at this evening, Miku?
I think really that what we're trying to do is support community conversations around the essentials of protecting natural systems and also the relationship that water has in our lives on so many different levels.
And we're interested, we're blessed in Maine because we have so many beautiful lakes, ponds, the ocean all around us. We have more water than so many places in this country and so many places on Earth. And yet it seems to me that for many of us, we take it for granted. Would you say that's an accurate assessment?
I would, and really the essential differences between, for example, an indigenous view of the waters and a Wanuch view or a non-indigenous view is that we don't look at these places simply as places to utilize or for resource extraction or for recreation. It's about having a relationship to the system over time and affording it reverence and having responsibility to protect it.
Betsy, the Trust for Public Land took an active role in the making and promotion of one of these films. Tell me a little bit about what your interest was in bringing this issue to light.
Absolutely. So Trust for Public Land and Penobscot Nation co-produced the Voices of Wasatic film, which tells the story of the ongoing effort to restore 30,000 acres of land and water in the Katahdin region to Penobscot Nation caretaking. And it's the core of what all these films are about, which is reconnecting communities to the earth and reconnecting especially indigenous communities who have looked after the land and water that we rely on for so long.
Those themes of stewardship and conservation will run throughout the whole evening, throughout the films and the discussion. Is Maine, in general, doing a reasonably good job in that regard?
It's really interesting. We actually have, you would think yes, but only 20% of our land and waters are protected. And the access for Wabanaki people, Penobscot Nation, and Passamaquoddy tribe, the Maliseet and Mi'kmaq, they only have access to 1% of their ancestral homelands here in the state. And so when it comes to the actual caretaking of the land and water and restoring the ability to do that, we have a long way to go in Maine.
The rivers in particular are an essential part of the life of the Wabanaki people, aren't they?
Absolutely. We traveled all the waterways, and Maine is rich in waters, and we didn't utilize the rivers only for movement from place to place, but also for things like sustenance, fishing, and gathering herbal medicines and so forth. So if you look at the history, one of the earliest things that happened after contact is that rivers were dammed and portages got disrupted. So we're looking now at hundreds of years after the fact. What are those impacts and how can we repair some of that?
Let me just mention, as we said, 5 films in all will be shown. They're all short, so the screening of all 5 will only take about an hour. And then a couple of the others are one called Follow the Water, another on salmon restoration on the Penobscot River. We've got some clips of those. What do you hope will come out of this? How do you hope this may steer a broader public conversation?
I think that we know the encounter with our waters begins with the individual and maybe with the family, and then you move on to how do communities actually utilize the waterways. If we can get even a few people, a handful of people, to consider taking an action that is right from their daily lives and not just donating to a nonprofit, although that's good, then I think it will be a success. We're at a beginning place.
Same question briefly, Betsy. What do you hope will come out of this evening?
I hope that there is a recognition of all of the ongoing efforts and leadership that is happening across the state and how people can support that. So we know that the Wabanaki Nations for thousands of years have taken a leadership role in protecting our waters, and the salmon restoration on the Penobscot River film, the Voices of Wasatic film will highlight some of those stories. And there are ways to engage right now in supporting the work of returning land access and caretaking ability to these communities.
All right, we got to let that be the last word. Thank you both for being here. We appreciate it. Again, the name of this event is Reverence for Water. It's happening at One Longfellow Square in Portland on Tuesday. More information on the films, ticket prices, everything else in the 207 section of our News Center Maine app or website. Stick around. We'll be back in just a moment.